Thank you, Anna, and congratulations.
Yes.
Believe it or not, we are on time. How amazing is that? It's 4:20. That's what I said. I'm supposed to start reading this. Amazing. It is now my pleasure to welcome Anna Maxwell, the New York FFA Secretary, to the stage to introduce our next esteemed speaker, Commissioner Richard Ball. Anna is a senior at Salem Central Schools in Washington County. As an FFA member, she has a wide variety of international agricultural work experience, including work at the Rupert Valley Veterinarian Clinic, the Battenkill Valley Creamery, Bark Hill Farms, and enthusiastic and active experiences in the Washington County Dairy Princess Organization. She's been an active member of her local chapter, where she was competitive in multiple leadership events, but her favorite is parliamentary procedure because, in her own words, she loves to witness how hard-working, passionate individuals come together to make magic happen in a meeting room. This year, she is serving as the member of the state FFA officer team as the state secretary while completing her senior year, applying to colleges, and looking forward to a year of international experiences after graduation. Please welcome Anna.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's such an honor to be here today with some of my state officer teammates and witnessing this event. Throughout my state officer year so far, I'm learning that there are events in New York agriculture that are cornerstone traditions, where those who are most engaged come together to collaborate and connect. And this event is one that my state officer team and I have heard about since the very beginning of our year. I was actually just chatting with my dad this morning before we hopped in the car to come here, and I think it's safe to say that he was equally, if not more, excited than I was that I was coming to Ag Society. That being said, another event we've been talking about since the moment we've been elected is New York State FFA's 100th convention that's happening this spring. I remember hearing that the responsibility of the 100th convention was going to be resting on our shoulders and feeling pretty overwhelmed. But since that moment, we've been working to imagine an event that looks a lot like this one. An event with the chance to network and build relationships. An event that has opportunities to explore agricultural topics with others who are similarly committed. An event where key speakers deliver messages that are right for the moment, but also prepare us for future endeavors. In fact, at the 100th FFA convention, each member of my team will have an opportunity to deliver a retiring address, a speech on a topic that they find timely and important. When I look at the individual that I have the opportunity to introduce today, I think that my team and I could definitely take some notes on how to deliver an awesome speech. That being said, we don't want to encourage the commissioner to retire anytime soon. In a room like this, Commissioner Ball really doesn't need an introduction, but I would like to elaborate on why my team and I admire him and his team so much by sharing how he embodies the theme we have chosen to celebrate New York FFA's 100th convention. This spring, we will look at the idea of Excelsior, legendary foundations, limitless futures. And as I considered ways to introduce the commissioner today, I thought this was a wonderful lens that really emulates his legacy in New York agriculture. The idea of Excelsior asks us to imagine our impact on the world around us in the perspective of ever upward. How do we grow as people, as members of a community, and as more than just ourselves? The commissioner's career demonstrates that he lives in an ever upward way, advancing personally but never selfishly. His family farm, family business, and family as on a larger scale, New York agriculture, have benefited from his work ethic, decision-making, and leadership. As FFA approaches 100 years, we are looking back on some legendary foundations, actions and efforts made in the past that create a platform for us to build our own successes upon. Thanks to the commissioner's work in the Carrot Barn, partnering to help create a stronger talent pipeline and more supportive environment for New York agribusinesses, and his commitment to agriculture on every scale and in every community. His resume is filled with past actions that have paved the way not only for his success, but success on a larger scale. The foundations he has laid and will continue to lay make space for limitless futures. There's a quote that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. Leadership means taking actions that we may not personally benefit from, but taking the ones that we know will have a positive impact in the long run. Seeing Commissioner Ball's genuine commitment to the future of New York agriculture through a focus on tomorrow's challenges, not just today's. His open-minded approach to the agriculture industry brings more people to the table, and the countless investments he makes with time, funding, and focus on agricultural youth help to ensure that New York farms and agricultural operations will continue to thrive for years to come. Commissioner Ball is a person who has dedicated his life to building upon New York's legendary agricultural foundations, while simultaneously setting up a limitless future. His work is a testimony to his values and passions, and we are beyond proud to have New York agriculture represented at the highest levels by someone like him.
So I think, Anna, you may have overshot the mark by just a little bit there. But good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for that very kind and very long introduction, Anna. It's an honor to have our young people here with us today at the forum, providing that special warm welcome. Thank you. I'm going to warn you, you're going to hear a little more from Anna. You're going to hear from members of 4-H, from Manners, and from Ag Society ambassadors just a little bit later here as we get going here. But first of all, I think we have to stop, and I want to extend my sincerest thanks to our host today, to the Ag Society, for their tremendous work putting together this event. This forum has been a time-honored event, a tradition, a family reunion, I like to call it, one that I always look forward to both as a farmer and as a commissioner. It's always great to be here among friends and colleagues, and it's just flat out inspiring to see the commitment to our industry that I know all of us share here. I also want to thank all our panelists, the speakers who have been with us throughout the day. Your work and voices are critical. You demonstrated that today. And to all the awardees today, a huge congratulations. Thank you for your service to this special agricultural community. And I have to congratulate our Distinguished Service Awardee, Elwyn Voss of the Voss Group. Elwyn and I met 32 years ago. I appreciated, Elwyn, your advice, your thoughts, as our family was building our farm back then. But even more so today, I appreciate that because the passion and the dedication to agriculture and to the next generation are just shining through. So let's give him and all their awardees today another round of applause, please. Of course, I would be remiss not to recognize some of the people that I get to work with at the department. You know, these staff, they understand, they care about what you do. They devote themselves to work on our shared mission. They make my job so much easier, so much better every single day. They're available to me 24/7. They're available to you. Those that are here this afternoon, I'm going to ask them, I'm going to read off their names, and I'm going to ask them to stand up and remain standing until we get done there. But first of all, First Deputy Commissioner Steve McGrattan, Deputy Commissioners Elizabeth Walters and Katie Howard, our Assistant Commissioner Damali Winter, our Executive Office, Lauren Williams, from the Executive Office. She's got a long title. It's hard for me to remember. Yola Subielski is here, Hannah Burkhead, Julia Mason, Tim Sheldon, happy birthday, Tim, happy birthday, David. Lydia Johnson, our Excelsior Fellow, is here. Hannah Gonzalez, an AmeriCorps Vista member and ambassador, is here. Sarita Heffernan, in charge of me. Tim Pezzolozzi is here, Assistant Director in Ag Development. Mark McMullen, Tia Barnes, Tim McBride, Jessica Woodward, Jessica Brooks, Andrea Jameson, Eric Kina, Emily Cook, Nick Kosman, Stephanie Wojciechowicz, Henry Talmadge, Mary Clark Smith, Andrea Spencer, Joseph Proctor, and from our food safety inspection folks, Steve Schimmer and Wendy Ingersoll, and from the New York State Fair, Julie Lefebvre, our director, and Christina Tuff, whom I'm sure everyone remembers. And we also have partners here from Governor Hochul's office, the Deputy Secretary for Food and Agriculture, Kevin King, Lindsay McMahon. Thank you for being here. It's hard to imagine a better group of people who work for you every day. So let's give them a round of applause, please. Thank you. And we have to point out two former commissioners that are in the room today. Commissioner Pat Hooker, not just a great fundraiser, but a great commissioner. Nathan Rogers, both of them great mentors for me and for all of you. Let's give them a round of applause also. I also want to take just a moment to recognize the recent loss of a close friend. Former New York State Commissioner of Agriculture, Dick McGuire. Dick was a fierce advocate. He was a fierce advocate for farmers. He was a natural leader. He held leadership positions with so many groups, including the American Farm Bureau, the Federation there, New York Farm Bureau, as well as being Commissioner of Ag at the department. He's going to be remembered for his friendship, for his service to farmers, for his leadership and mentorship, and his lifelong commitment to agriculture. I was talking with his daughter and his son this week. Ag Society was so important to Dick McGuire. He was always energized by this annual gathering of New York State leaders and what you, contribute to New York agriculture. We lost more than a few friends in agriculture this year. They, like Dick, met the challenges of their day. They met the opportunities of their day. They took them on, and they left us all the better for it. Our legacy on our shared work is to continue that. There's an old adage that I remember hearing. I don't remember where it came from. But we get to drink from wells that we did not dig, and we are warmed by fires that we did not build. We all work in the footsteps of those that came before us, and we try to leave it better for those who will follow in ours. Just look at our Century Farm families. Each one of these awardees today has contributed to our community for decades. They have a unique story to pass down to the next generation, and they share one other common denominator as well, and that is change. Every one of these farms is different today than it was 100 years ago, proving that change is something not just to accept, but to embrace. In our industry, change is inevitable. From changing climate to unpredictable markets and other global forces that appear to be beyond our control, there was no shortage of uncertainty these days. But following in the footsteps of our forefathers, I know that we can embrace that change and not just survive, but thrive. Having said that, New York has a pretty big role to play in the new world order as policies and priorities seem to shift all around the globe. I have the opportunity to represent New York State at the Tri-National Accord each year. This year was the 31st Accord, and we held it in Washington, D.C. It rotates between Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. And at this Accord in October, a meeting between Commissioners, Secretaries, and Directors of Ag in the U.S., our counterparts, the Ministers of Ag in Canada, and the Secretaries of Ag in Mexico. We talk about trade agreements. We talk about tariff concerns. We talk about trade irritants. We talk about phytosanitary concerns, high-path influenza, etc. You've often heard me say that agriculture is very much a relationship business. It's important when we get to the Tri-National Accord in those conversations because about 40% of what you grow in New York State is exported. And Canada and Mexico are our two biggest trading partners. We rely on positive trade relations with these folks to support our agricultural economy and open up opportunities to collaborate with our partners and engage in new and fair trade agreements. In 2025, the USMCA comes up for a review. It seems like only a few years ago it was enacted and signed. We need to get together to decide to renew it for 15 years or renegotiate a new agreement. These are critical conversations. These are critical partnerships. New York has vital interest here, and we figure very largely into these discussions. On the national front, as you know, we are continuing to wait on a new farm bill. Every 5 years, we get this opportunity to work on the most complicated piece of legislation that goes through Congress. We need to remember that at its core, the process is about supporting our farmers and ensuring access to our food production. Following the listening sessions that we held over the past 2 years, frankly, all across the state, we heard one thing loud and clear from all of you and from all the folks in the nutrition community. We do not need a smaller farm bill. We need the right farm bill, one that works for us here in New York, supports the specialty crops programs that are our strength, and ensures nutrition and agriculture are strongly linked, as they should be. This is a great opportunity for positive change. We're going to continue to fight and watch for what we need here. Recent ag statistics show that nearly 86% of farmers in the United States also depend on off-farm income. 86% of our farmers across the United States depend on off-farm income. We need to do better, and I believe we can do better to make sure agriculture continues to be a viable way to make a living. Whether it's rewarding our farms who combat climate change or ensuring our farmers are New York's first and best suppliers here in New York, we have opportunities in agriculture, and we need to take advantage of them right now. From the farmers and the producers who feed our communities with fresh produce, dairy, maple, honey, and more, to craft beverages, natural animal fibers, and the equine industry that help drive New York's economy and tourism, we have an amazing agricultural community within New York's borders. We have some of the best soil in the country. We have access to water. We have the largest marketplace in the world at our doorstep, and a smart, driven generation of young people who are eager to become the next leaders of our industry. And we have a strong ally in our governor who knows the value of the work we do, and a tremendous network of partners, all of you, who work every day to support the ag community. As I reflect not just on this past year, but on the long legacy of New York Ag, I'm inspired by what we've already done together. Through decades, in New York, we have a history of doing the right things. We have a history of investing in the right places and pushing for the right policies. Our agricultural community has shown fortitude and innovation, shoring up our foundation while continuing to tackle challenges that occur to us, both local and global. So even in this time of uncertainty, I believe in New York. I wouldn't want to farm anywhere else. Right now, we have the privilege of a new year ahead of us, a story waiting to be written. With our governor and our legislature and all of you leading the way, we will continue fighting for programs and policies that directly support our farmers and boost access to agriculture across the state, strengthening this industry for years to come. One of those initiatives is the Governor's Executive Order 32, directing New York State agencies to increase their percentage of food that they source from New York producers. Our goal is to have all these agencies buy 30% of all the food that they purchase from New York sources within 5 years. We've already far exceeded our first year's goal. We're about at 15%. This initiative is going to be a game changer, and it's only just begun. We've also championed programs to help offset rising costs for our farmers, including the Farm Employer Overtime Credit. At a time when many are experiencing the devastating effects of rising prices, this is just one innovative way that we're hoping to help our farm families. The governor is this year working hard to address the cost of living and put money back in the pockets of New Yorkers in other ways as well. So stay tuned for her State of the State next week to find out some more about that. We're also working very hard to make sure everyone can succeed in our industry. The Beginner Farmer Grant Program and the Socially and Economically Disadvantaged Farmer Grant Program They both support New York farmers who are new to the field, who face disproportionate barriers to success. Access to capital is one of those biggest challenges to the success of new and beginner farmers, and I'm proud to say these programs are helping to build a pathway forward for those farmers. And one of the reasons I feel so optimistic about the future is because of these beginning and young farmers and the next generation who will be the leaders of an agribusiness, animal and veterinary sciences, food science, conservation, technology, and so much more. To get to introduce young people to the importance of local agriculture and the food system early on is critical if we're going to develop a pipeline of leaders that are passionate about agriculture and eager to contribute to our story. I want to give you the opportunity to hear from one of these future leaders, Hannah Brady, who is an Ag Society ambassador and who is with us today.
Hi, my name is Hannah Brady, and I'm a Credit Support Associate at Farm Credit East. Agriculture has always been a part of my life. Growing up on family farms, I was immersed in the world of agriculture from an early age, and it became the foundation for everything that I do today. I went on to attend SUNY Cobleskill, where I majored in agricultural business management and minored in agriculture education. Why Cobleskill, you ask? Well, I was lucky enough to be a part of FFA throughout my entire high school career, and that experience really shaped my future. Through FFA, I learned leadership, responsibility, and how vital agriculture is to our economy, our food systems, and our everyday lives. It helped me realize that I wanted to make a difference in this field, which is what led me to SUNY Cobleskill. I decided to go there because I viewed this as an opportunity to eventually become an agriculture educator with the goal of inspiring future agricultural leaders. While I was at SUNY Cobleskill, I had to complete an internship as part of my program. Many of my professors had strong connections with Farm Credit East and highly recommended I do my internship there. I saw this as a great opportunity to gain hands-on experience and contribute to the agriculture industry in a meaningful way. It wasn't just about helping farmers. It was about ensuring a sustainable future for agriculture, one that could support future generations. That's something that really resonated with me, and it ultimately led me to stay on with Farm Credit East full-time after the internship. As I continue my career here, I've come to realize the crucial role that institutions like SUNY Cobleskill and organizations like Farm Credit East play in the shaping of the future of agriculture. Schools like SUNY Cobleskill serve as pipelines to the future, equipping students with not only the technical skills that they need, but also the leadership and entrepreneurial qualities required to keep agriculture growing and thriving. Likewise, Farm Credit East serves as an essential conduit, fostering the future of agriculture by ensuring the financial viability of farmers, agribusinesses, and rural communities. This connection between education and real-world experience highlights how important it is to prepare the next generation of leaders for the evolving agricultural landscape. Agriculture education is the backbone of our industry. It's much more than farming. It's about preparing young people to understand how agriculture impacts the economy, the environment, and their daily lives. It provides them with the tools to make informed decisions, whether they're going into farming, agribusinesses, or even policy and advocacy. The future of agriculture is in their hands, and it's crucial that we support ag education to ensure that it continues to evolve with the times and can meet the challenges of tomorrow. I'm proud to be a part of an organization like Farm Credit East, where we are committed to helping farmers, ranchers, and agribusinesses achieve financial success. The future of agriculture relies on people who understand the importance of our industry and who are passionate about keeping it strong. And I believe that with the right education, programs like FFA and schools like SUNY Cobleskill will continue to see the future leaders emerge, ready to take on the challenges ahead. Thank you.
Hannah, can you stand up? Thank you, Hannah. A good ambassador for agriculture, to be sure. As you can see, we have tremendous assets in our colleges and our universities, and they're working hard to strengthen those ties. We've been talking to higher education and career prep programs to help understand some of the trends that they're observing, and we're talking to employers in the ag and food system to understand their workforce needs for today and for tomorrow. We're very also happy to be here today with strong partnerships with organizations like FFA, like 4-H, like Manners, like Ag in the Classroom, and like our very own Ag Society ambassadors. who are working with our young people to help guide us in the future generations. Today, we've got more than 400 agricultural teachers across New York State. We're adding manners chapters around the state, including our very first junior chapter at John Bowne High School in Queens. We have nearly 200,000 4-H students in every corner of the state. Our New York FFA is growing faster than any other state in the country, which is quite remarkable considering what I experienced at last year's National FFA Convention. For those of you who know me, you know I'm not usually speechless. However, look up on the screen there. That's 72,000 young ag leaders at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, a crowd that rivaled any I have seen. And I have to point out, there were more kids in Lucas Oil Stadium that day than 1 week later when Taylor Swift came to put on a concert. That's worth a round of applause, right? Our New York group was there with 97 students representing 21 chapters awarded national, individual, and team rankings. They certainly made us all proud, and it's inspiring to know that this is the future of agriculture. Here at home at the state's first ever Youth Agricultural Conference, I was honored to spend some time with some of the greatest minds in 4-H and Manners and FFA. At this historical first ever collaboration ever held, we had our sleeves rolled up, meeting with each other, working together, learning what we had in common, and sharing our goal of moving agriculture forward. Following that conference, the governor announced a blue ribbon panel to advance ag education, which we will build on these successes with our new collaboration, especially as we mark the coming 20th anniversary of New York Ag in the Classroom and the 100th anniversary of New York FFA. That's worth an applause round, I think. For so many of us in our next generation, a relationship to agriculture may begin at a county fair. Our fairs are hubs for ag education. They can often spark a new interest for those who haven't been exposed to the industry as well. And that's why this past summer, we launched a marketing initiative support in our 50-plus county fairs across the state, including the County Fair Passport Program, to make sure that these fairs continue to be the centers of their community and to continue to make sure that agriculture is at the center. And speaking of fairs, we had another terrific year at the Great New York State Fair. We're proud to say that agriculture remains at the core of the fair and one of the biggest draws for visitors who come there. From the butter sculpture to the maple booth, the expanded voice of the farmer garden, and the new mobile dairy experience, which was there, agriculture continues to be front and center, giving nearly 1 million visitors an opportunity to connect with farmers and learn more about our industry. Speaking of dairy, many of our students come from farm families that span across our industry. That includes dairy in a big way, our largest agricultural sector. Our next student presenter is a 4-H student, Everett Cox, and he's excited to share with you his vision for the future of dairy. Let's take a listen to Everett's story.
Good afternoon. My name is Everett Cox. I am the son of Slade and Kristen Cox, and I live and work on Oxcart Dairy in Cato, New York. I am a junior at Cato Meridian Central School, a member of the New York State Pro Dairy Junior Dairy Leader Program, and Kiwi County Dairy Ambassador Program, and currently serve as a chapter FFA secretary and 4-H club president. I am also a basketball player, a long-distance runner, proud member of the Cato Meridian Drama Club, and owner of 2 herding dogs who I'm currently training to work sheep. Growing up on a first-generation dairy farm, the dairy industry has a significant influence in shaping the person I am today. When my parents founded Oxcart Dairy in 2001, they decided to quit their nice, stable jobs and never be bored again. With 80 cows and a lot of ambition, they set out to play their part in feeding the world. Since then, they have expanded to milking just over 400 head and being able to support our family. As I grew up, my parents diligently shared their love of dairy with my siblings and I, and looked for opportunities to continue our education. So, they turned to 4-H, a program that they were familiar with from their childhood. Little did they know this would turn into an essential part of all of our lives. We all learn to show dairy cattle. We may not always win, but the primary value is in the experience and the bond we foster between members. The work that is required to learn how to raise and prepare dairy cattle to be shown is colossal. There were bad moments, as there is with everything, but those inferior times can bring about experiences that will live with you forever. See, there were these two girls in my 4-H group, one who I had seen grown from a little kid into a hard-working, determined individual. And when she was old enough, I had introduced her to 4-H. The other girl had been a friend of mine through FFA, and I had been encouraging her to join our 4-H group. Both these girls had been working with these admittedly stubborn, difficult calves through washings, clippings, early mornings, and hoop scoopings. One of those meaningful experiences I've ever had was watching my two friends, both of whom I had encouraged to join 4-H, taught how to show, and work extremely hard to become successful and to compete side by side with me and some of the best competitors in the state in the Master Showman class. It made me think about how these girls wouldn't have had the opportunity to discover an industry that they would end up loving without 4-H and dairy. The 4-H program has helped inspire countless people to pursue dairy and will continue to invest in the dairy production leaders of tomorrow. The impact of 4-H will continue to echo in my generations to come. Much like the girls in my 4-H group, more and more kids continue to fall in love with dairy and agriculture as a result of 4-H program. It is vital that we keep new generations involved, not only in dairy, but in agriculture as a whole, through programs such as 4-H, so that we may grow as a united community. So as the demand for resources increases, the support from professionals such as Commissioner Ball for youth programs like 4-H remains essential. Through history, dairy has been instrumental in the science and nutrition communities, as is evident by the discovery of pasteurization in 1860. Use of dairy as a vital source of 13 essential nutrients, and the world-class agriculture and dairy programs at our land-grant institution, Cornell University. Currently, I am participating in leadership training with a group of kids I would have otherwise never known through Cornell's Junior Dairy Leader program. During this experience, I am able to learn from all sorts of people and gain an understanding of different perspectives. From my peers to experienced professionals across the industry, I am learning about how dairy has impacted them, whether it be giving them jobs, providing networking opportunities, or just family bonding. Through the Dairy Ambassador program, I see how even people who aren't involved with dairy know that it's important to have in your life. You should see the sort of people that come around a table of chocolate milk after a charity 5K. And through 4-H, I see how people support each other through thick and thin. As I look back on my experiences and all the things that I love, and what all of the producers in the 5th largest dairy production state in the U.S. love about the dairy community, I look to the future. I have hopes of pursuing a degree in animal science, so I may expand my knowledge of the dairy world, agriculture, and beyond. I look forward to future generations whom I inspire the same way and encourage to keep the industry growing. Who knows, maybe someday I'll be standing at this meeting again as a professional. Maybe even as the Commissioner of Agriculture.
Everett is here with us today. Everett, can you stand up and be recognized? There he is. Not quite done yet, Everett. Pretty inspiring to hear from Everett, one of the thousands of 4-H'ers from across the state, and hear his interest in the success for New York Dairy. Through the Milk Marketing Advisory Council and the Dairy Promotion Advisory Board, we're working hard at the state to enhance this industry, research innovative uses for New York dairy products, and increase consumption for New York milk. In 2024, New York Dairy had quite a lot to be proud of, with some pretty major investments made in our processing facilities around the state. From the launch of the Fairlife Production Plant in Webster, to the expansion of Agrimark in the North Country and Great Lakes Cheese in Chautauqua County, and so much more. These facilities represent millions of dollars of investment and will add hundreds of jobs to their local communities. I have 8 projects on my desk back at 10B Airline Drive for dairy expansion programs in New York State. Additionally, we've invested $34 million in our last budget for on-farm fluid milk storage technologies, processing infrastructure through the Dairy Modernization Grant Program. We also recently announced $21 million for the Alternative Waste Management and Enhanced Precision Feed Program. That's there to help address manure storage, but will also mitigate greenhouse gases and provide opportunities for us to sequester carbon as we continue to pull together and deal with climate change. As we work to heal and preserve our planet, I often think about my grandfather, who worried about the weather, and now I think about my grandkids, who need to think about the climate. From discussions I've had with students at the Bronx High School of Law and Community Service to our Youth in Agricultural Conference, I know that young people are thinking about this issue as much as we are, and I'm proud to now invite Anna Maxwell. You heard from her earlier when she introduced me. Give her perspective on where we are, where we need to be going.
Hello, I'm Anna Maxwell, and I'm currently serving as the New York State FFA Secretary. And right now, I'm standing in my mom's agriculture classroom at Salem Washington Academy, where I'm a senior in high school. I think that the first time I started noticing that the world around me was changing was when I was about 12 years old. It had never bothered me before that point that the summers were so hot, or that the rain fell inconsistently, or that the snow came later and later with each winter. In fact, I thought it was a pretty awesome natural occurrence until I heard the adults around me discussing the events in a negative light. There was one summer that I remember vividly a few years ago where a pretty serious drought struck New York. I overheard my parents and local farmers discussing the crop of corn. It was too short, too dry, and too yellow. What would that mean for the fate of agricultural operations in upstate New York for the following year? Since then, I've started to notice more and more how the climate impacts the world around me. I've definitely taken note of the corn and paid more attention to the rain and the temperature and the snow. I've listened to stories of fires in California and Canada and storms that have tormented agriculture in the South. I've taken some careful mental notes, compared with my peers, and come up with a few revelations. The first is that the climate matters a lot, and that it's definitely changing. And the second is that youth in agriculture care. We care because it's our future being impacted by the climate, not anyone else's. FFA members understand this and make a passionate point of being climate conscious in all of their agricultural activities. They build connections with the environment and with people more knowledgeable about the subject because they're actively pursuing a better future for the entire world. I've seen this at the Tri-Valley FFA chapter, where they work with local officials to test streams and monitor reservoir safety, cataloging data that provides information on water quality. Members of the Oxford FFA chapter, and right here in Salem, utilize an in-classroom trout program to introduce environmental impacts and invasive species to their student body. At the New York Harbor School in our very own New York City, students are studying how to make communities more climate resilient through composting, city planning, and actively working with seaweed and oysters to take small steps towards rehabilitating the New York Harbor. At the Whitman FFA chapter, students measure the environmental impact of everyday objects, including comparing the efficiency of diesel engines in different temperatures. Today's youth in agriculture don't worry as much about figuring out who is to blame for the challenges associated with the climate. They are much more concerned with coming up with innovative ways to contribute to the solutions to these problems, because that's how we move forward in our ever-changing world. Whether it's gathering data or engaging in responses to efficiently and sustainably producing food, fiber, and fuel, climate resilience is a mandate for our generation. But it's also an incredible agricultural opportunity. Farmers were the original environmentalists, and we are the next generation of leaders that get to carry out that legacy.
Nice. Kids these days, huh? Thank you, Anna, for your remarks. Certainly, climate change is one of the biggest challenges that we face. I'm proud to say that agriculture is 100% at the table when it comes to tackling climate change, with initiatives that are making real impacts on our environment and on our farms. Our climate resilient farming program, our agricultural non-point source abatement and control, and many more are providing real solutions in the fight against the climate and protections to our farmers against extreme weather events. For instance, through 7 rounds of funding, the Climate Resilient Farming Program has provided $36 million to assist farms across the state with projects that focus on soil health, water management, and the reduction of methane from manure nutrient storages. So far, the program is estimated to have reduced greenhouse gases by 454,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. That's like getting 105,000 cars off the road for a year. And the program is still growing. In the latest round, we made $33 million available, almost the same amount that was awarded the previous 7 years in a row, making this the highest amount of funding ever available to New York farmers. I have to take a moment and just say thank you to our soil and water conservation districts, who are the boots on the ground, helping our farmers better handle the effects of severe weather events while also helping them mitigate agriculture's impact on climate change. Through last year's budget, New York State increased the funding by $1.2 million to those districts in support of their good work. Working with our partners like Cornell Soil Health and our conservation districts, agriculture is playing an important role in achieving New York's nation-leading climate goals and preserving our natural resources, all while supporting our farmers and securing our local food systems. Protecting the long-term future of New York's environment and our ag industry is a key priority of ours here at the department. We're working to combat our invasive species, such as spotted lanternfly, monitor our livestock for illness like avian influenza. We're very fortunate that here in New York, so far we're managing this new animal health concern and are proud of our proactive measures. We are working alongside our partners at USDA to prevent avian influenza from even entering our state. We're working together in these areas and so many more around the department, work that is directly impacting the future of our industry and building a strong, more resilient food supply chain that's going to bolster our farmers and ensure that all New Yorkers have access to our food. Speaking of the food supply chain, food security, food insecurity should not be an inevitable consequence of geography or poverty. We need to see it as a solvable problem. An accurate measure of success for us needs to be more than the number of bushels per acre or the number of acres that we planted. We need to focus on how our success in agriculture translates into success in our rural communities and to connecting the dots between those of us who supply the food system and those of us who need access to our food system. As we focused on our food system this past year, we doubled down on our efforts to connect more New York growers with more New York consumers, with some of the best food in the world available right in our own backyard. We're working to increase food security in our communities, to develop a strong local food supply chain right here at home, and ensure that all New Yorkers know where their food comes from and can access that and get the nutrition that they need. I'd like now to introduce one more student of agriculture, Rio Marini. She's the Vice President for Manners Junior Chapter at John Bowne High School. Let her talk a little bit more about getting local foods to those who need them the most. Rio.
Hi, my name is Rio Marini. I am the Vice President of John Bowne High School's Junior Manners Chapter. Food accessibility isn't just a topic we read about. It's a reality we study, experience, and aim to change. For many of us, food accessibility means more than having something to eat. It means ensuring everyone, no matter where they live, can access fresh, nutritious, and affordable food. In New York State, we see two sides of food accessibility. In rural areas where farmland goes on for miles, local farmers face challenges like rising costs, labor shortages, and limited markets to sell their produce. In urban areas, especially here in the city, underserved communities struggle with food deserts, places where fast food is easier to find than grocery stores. It's a troubling imbalance in a state with such rich agricultural potential. The COVID-19 pandemic made these gaps even wider. Supply chains broke down, grocery stores were emptied, and families in underserved communities were hit the hardest. Many relied on food banks and local farmers markets to survive. It showed us how fragile our food system is and how essential local farmers are to keeping it strong. As agriculture students, we're learning how urban farming and local agriculture can be part of the solution. Urban and local farms, like the one at our school, and community gardens help bring fresh produce closer to the people who need it the most. By supporting local farmers, we can create a stronger food system that benefits everyone, from the farmer upstate to the families in Queens struggling to make ends meet. Food accessibility is more than an issue. It's a call to action. It's about equity, resilience, and the right to healthy food for all.
She's from John Bowne High School in Queens, New York, one of the largest FFA chapters in New York State with over 600 members. And Manners is the minorities interested in careers in agriculture and natural resources. We have Manners chapters now at Cornell University and some of our land-grant schools across the state, and also junior chapters now, the first one being John Bowne High School, Queens, New York. We have a New York State Food Supply Working Group which continues to address food shortages, food waste, and barriers to getting New York farm goods to markets. It also aims to improve the resiliency and the self-reliance of the state's farm and food supply. We've got a variety of innovative programs that are helping us further these goals, like Nourish New York, which continues to connect families in need across the state with agricultural products grown by New York farmers. Just last month, we were proud to share that 100 million meals have been distributed to families across the state through Nourish New York. I think that deserves a round of applause. Great program. Also proud to say that USDA copied the LFPA program after what we did in New York State with Nourish New York. So from initiatives like Farmers Market Resiliency and Urban Farms and Community Gardens programs, those are designed to help people in all corners of the state be a part of agriculture. To the SNAP-Ed Food Box Grant and Community Gardens Grant, the Fresh Connects program, the Food Access Expansion program, these are all helping to increase access to fresh foods and introduce new markets to our farmers. We're continuing to prioritize the food system resiliency across our state. This was a huge lesson from COVID-19, and we need to keep that alive and fresh in the front of our head. I had a bunch of wow moments this year. A crucial part of that work was getting New York food into New York schools. Part of being the commissioner means I get to travel, sometimes lots of it, to all corners of the state. But the best part about the travel is meeting our amazing partners who are working daily to advance our shared goals. I've had several wow moments on my travels with you this year. There's too many to name, but I have to mention just a couple during Farm to School Month. First, we visited C.R. Weeks Elementary School in the Southern Tier to announce the latest awards from the Farm to School program. More than $1.5 million that is going to 16 programs to increase the use of locally grown food on school menus, improve student health, and boost New York farmers. I had some of the best kale salad there, really. Some of the best kale salad I've ever had, and I grow kale, which the kids gave a huge thumbs up to, and the mac and cheese was also not too bad. Since the Farm to School program launched, $8.7 million has been awarded, benefiting school districts in every region of New York State. That's an incredible success, and we're very excited to keep that momentum going. Time to change class. Later that week, we took a trip up to the North Country to visit Champlain Valley Educational Services BOCES, one of the 2 recipients of the first round of the $50 million Regional School Food Infrastructure Grant Program. This program was brand new in 2024. It helps schools supply fresh, nutritious, scratch-made meals for school children. CVS BOCES will be using $5 million to build a new commissary. That's going to feature a central food hub and 2 state-of-the-art educational facilities, all of which will help to get more local foods to kids. I have to tell you, I was absolutely blown away by what I saw. An absolutely amazing group of people feeding truly good food in the school cafeterias that students actually liked. What's more, they turned the school cafeteria from a break-even proposition to a profit center. This is good for kids. This is good for farmers. This is good for New York's economy. We're accepting applications for the next round of this initiative as we speak. There's so many great stories to tell. One other one, like the school in Sullivan County that blew the top off our New York State 30% initiative. They source 70% of the food that kids eat in that school from local farms, not including dairy. 70% of the food those kids eat is from local farmers. Certainly helps that their cafeteria person went to the Culinary Institute of America, but fantastic food, fantastic work. One of New York agriculture's greatest assets is without a doubt its people, the hardworking farm families who care for our land and our animals and produce the crops that we all know. It's these businesses that make the delicious products that put New York on the map. Through programs like Taste New York, New York State Grown and Certified, we work hard to tell those stories. For Taste New York, these stories showcase the quality and the diversity of our New York food and beverages. They're made by entrepreneurs who take a chance on a good idea. Last year, we were excited to partner again with minor league baseball teams across the state, bringing in more than $5.7 million in sales to Taste New York businesses. Additionally, Taste New York launched a revamped Shop Taste New York online shopping portal, as well as celebrated the grand opening of a new Taste Market at Grand Central Station in New York City, making it even easier for New Yorkers to find New York-produced products. I'm also proud to share that we recently launched a new $1 million marketing campaign that's helping us tell the story of our farmers who have adopted a higher standard in both food safety and environmental management through New York State Grown and Certified program. The campaign is called Harvested with Heart, and it shows consumers and buyers the care that these farmers put into producing their food and why they're driven to deliver only the best. See if you can recognize a few of the people in this video.
I'm the 5th generation of my family to farm here in Baldwinsville. It means a lot to me to carry on that tradition. We've obviously been farming this land for a long time. It's really important for our future that we take care of it, and being a part of that is just something really special.
Our growers are very passionate, scientific people. They don't just throw seeds in the ground and walk away. They have their eyes on the plants and the crops at all times because they work so closely together, and everything we do is for the betterment of the co-op. If they happen to see a certain disease pressure or pest that's in the area, they share that with each other. What's happening good on one farm, we'll share with the other farms. We want to be part of it, New York State Grown and Certified. It's good to have that emblem on our product. Customers see that and they recognize the fact that we're doing everything we should be and supporting our state and supporting our economy, supporting our agriculture. New York State Grown and Certified has always been responsive. They have helped us with grants for some of the equipment that we have at our facility. They've helped us with when we've gone to trade shows to promote our products. So the relationship between us is very strong. Working for this group, it's like working for my family.
Very good stuff. Stories like these that keep us working for our people and for our industry. Proud to say we showed those videos at the New York Produce Show in December to over thousands of buyers from around the United States and foreign countries as well. Both the growers were with us down at that show. It was a home run. So as we hit the ground running for a new year, I'm pretty optimistic about the future of agriculture in New York. With the help of a strong network of partners, our industry of innovation, change, the Grid New York Ag History, we're going to continue forward. All year I've seen real progress for our farmers, despite all the challenges that we hear every day on the news. And after hearing today from our young people who are venturing into agriculture with high hopes and with passion for our industry, I feel more confident than ever that we're in good hands. Let's celebrate those wins, even as we roll up our sleeves to do more. I've shared with you all the things that keep me up at night, but it's really incredible stories like Anna's, Everett's, Rio's, and Hannah's that keeps us going during the day, focused and driven to make sure that we as a state are doing our